Christmas, a season of joy and celebration, has a rich tapestry of history and tradition. But where did it all begin, and how has it evolved over the centuries? In this video, you will discover the fascinating journey of Christmas. Etymology, explore the roots of the word Christmas and its early mentions. History, delve into the ancient origins and the role of winter festivals in shaping Christmas. Post-classical history, uncover how Christmas was celebrated in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, including the introduction of key traditions. Modern history, witness the transformation of Christmas in the modern era, focusing on cultural, commercial, and global influences. Controversies, examine the debates and issues surrounding Christmas today, from commercialization to its role in different cultures. Why this matters. Christmas is more than just a holiday, it's a mirror reflecting societal changes and cultural evolution. Christmas. Christmas is an annual festival commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ, who is worshipped as the Son of God in Christianity, the world's largest religion. Observed primarily on December 25th, it's a feast central to the Christian liturgical year and follows the season of Advent, which begins 4 Sundays before, or the Nativity Fast, and initiates the season of Christmastide, which historically in the West lasts 12 days and culminates on 12th night. Christmas Day is a public holiday in most countries, is celebrated religiously by a majority of Christians, as well as culturally by many non-Christians, and forms an integral part of the holiday season organized around it. The traditional Christmas narrative recounted in the New Testament, known as the Nativity of Jesus, says that Jesus was born in Bethlehem in accordance with messianic prophecies. When Joseph and Mary arrived in the city, the inn had no room, and so they were offered a stable where the Christ child was soon born, with angels proclaiming this news to shepherds who then spread the word. There are different hypotheses regarding the date of Jesus' birth, and in the early 4th century, the Church fixed the date as December 25th. This corresponds to the traditional date of the winter solstice on the Roman calendar. It is exactly 9 months after Annunciation on March 25th, also the date of the spring equinox. Most Christians celebrate on December 25th in the Gregorian calendar, which has been adopted almost universally in the civil calendars used in countries throughout the world. However, part of the Eastern Christian churches celebrate Christmas on December 25th of the older Julian calendar, which currently corresponds to January 7th in the Gregorian calendar. For Christians, believing that God came into the world in the form of man to atone for the sins of humanity, rather than knowing Jesus' exact birth date, is considered to be the primary purpose in celebrating Christmas. The English word Christmas is a shortened form of Christ's Mass. The word is recorded as Christmas in 1038 and Christmas in 1131. Christ, genitive Christs, is from the Greek Christos, Kyriota, a translation of the Hebrew Messiah, meaning anointed, and Mess is from the Latin Missa, the celebration of the Eucharist. The form Christenmass was also used during some periods, but is now considered archaic and dialectal. The term derives from Middle English Christenmass, meaning Christian Mass. Christmas is an abbreviation of Christmas found particularly in print, based on the initial letter chi in the Greek Christos, Christ, although some style guides discourage its use. This abbreviation has precedent in Middle English Kyros Mass, where Kyro is an abbreviation for the Greek Kyriota. History. In the 2nd century, the earliest church records indicate that Christians were remembering and celebrating the birth of the Lord, an observance that sprang up organically from the authentic devotion of ordinary believers, although they did not agree upon a set date. The earliest evidence of Christ's birth being marked on December 25th is a sentence in the chronograph of 354. Liturgical historians generally agree that this part of the text was written in Rome in AD 336. Though Christmas did not appear on the lists of festivals given by the early Christian writers Irenaeus and Tertullian, the early church fathers John Chrysostom, Augustine of Hippo, and Jerome attested to December 25th as the date of Christmas toward the end of the 4th century. A passage in commentary on the prophet Daniel, AD 204, by Hippolytus of Rome identifies December 25th as Jesus' birth date, but this passage is considered a later interpolation. In the East, the birth of Jesus was celebrated in connection with the Epiphany on January 6th. This holiday was not primarily about Christ's birth, but rather his baptism. Christmas was promoted in the East as part of the revival of Orthodox Christianity that followed the death of the pro-Arian Emperor Valens at the Battle of Adrianople in 378. The feast was introduced in Constantinople in 379, in Antioch by John Chrysostom towards the end of the 4th century, 46, probably in 388, and in Alexandria in the following century. The Georgian Iagari demonstrates that Christmas was celebrated in Jerusalem by the 6th century. Christ the Son. In the 3rd century, the date of birth of Jesus was a subject of great interest, with early Christian writers suggesting various dates. Around AD 200, Clement of Alexandria wrote, various factors contributed to the choice of December 25th. It was the date of the winter solstice in the Roman Empire, where most Christians lived. Christmas emerged during the peak of state-sponsored sun worship in the empire. Since 274 AD, the Roman festival Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, birthday of Sol Invictus, the invincible sun, had been held on December 25th. The early church linked Jesus Christ to the sun and referred to him as the Son of Righteousness, Sol Justicii, prophesied by Malachi. The early Christian writer Lactantius wrote, "The East is attached to God because he is the source of light and the illuminator of the world, and he makes us rise toward eternal life." It is for this reason that the early Christians established the direction of prayer as being eastward, towards the rising sun. A late 4th century sermon by St. Augustine explains why the winter solstice was a fitting day to celebrate Christ's birth. Stephen Hitchmans of the University of Alberta wrote, "It is cosmic symbolism, which inspired the church leadership in Rome to elect the southern solstice, December 25th, as the birthday of Christ, and the northern solstice as that of John the Baptist, supplemented by the equinoxes as their respective dates of conception." The Christian treatise De Solstitia et Equinoxia Conceptionis et Nativitatis Domini Nostrae Jesu Christi et Johannes Baptisti on the solstice and equinox conception and birth of our Lord Jesus Christ and John the Baptist, from the second half of the 4th century, dates John's birth to the summer solstice and Jesus' birth to the winter solstice. December 25th was also 9 months after March 25th, a date chosen as Jesus' conception, the Annunciation, and the date of the spring equinox on the Roman calendar. Two main theories have been offered as to the choice of date, although theology professor Susan Roll says that no liturgical historian goes so far as to deny that it has any sort of relation with the sun, the winter solstice, and the popularity of solar worship in the later Roman Empire. Post-classical history. The Nativity from a 14th century missal, a liturgical book containing texts and music necessary for the celebration of Mass throughout the year. Christmas played a role in the Arian controversy of the 4th century. After this controversy ran its course, the prominence of the holiday declined for a few centuries. In the early Middle Ages, Christmas Day was overshadowed by Epiphany, which in Western Christianity focused on the visit of the Magi. However, the medieval calendar was dominated by Christmas-related holidays. The 40 days before Christmas became the 40 days of St. Martin, which began on November 11th, the feast of St. Martin of Tours, now known as Advent. In Italy, former Saturnalian traditions were attached to Advent. Around the 12th century, these traditions transferred again to the 12 days of Christmas, December 25th to January 5th, a time that appears in the liturgical calendars as Christmas Tide or 12 Holy Days. In 567, the Council of Tours put in place the season of Christmas Tide, proclaiming the 12 days from Christmas to Epiphany as a sacred and festive season, and established the duty of Advent fasting in preparation for the feast. This was done in order to solve the administrative problem for the Roman Empire as it tried to coordinate the solar Julian calendar with the lunar calendars of its provinces in the East. The prominence of Christmas Day increased gradually after Charlemagne was crowned emperor on Christmas Day in 800. King Edmund the Martyr was anointed on Christmas in 855 and King William I of England was crowned on Christmas Day 1066. The coronation of Charlemagne on Christmas of 800 helped promote the popularity of the holiday. By the High Middle Ages, the holiday had become so prominent that chroniclers routinely noted where various magnates celebrated Christmas. King Richard II of England hosted a Christmas feast in 1377 at which 28 oxen and 300 sheep were eaten. The Yule boar was a common feature of medieval Christmas feasts. Caroling also became popular and was originally performed by a group of dancers who sang. The group was composed of a lead singer and a ring of dancers that provided the chorus. Various writers of the time condemned caroling as lewd, indicating that the unruly traditions of Saturnalia and Yule may have continued in this form. Misrule, drunkenness, promiscuity, gambling was also an important aspect of the festival. In England, gifts were exchanged on New Year's Day, and there was special Christmas ale. Christmas during the Middle Ages was a public festival that incorporated ivy, holly, and other evergreens. Christmas gift-giving during the Middle Ages was usually between people with legal relationships, such as tenant and landlord. The annual indulgence in eating, dancing, singing, sporting, and card-playing escalated in England, and by the 17th century the Christmas season featured lavish dinners, elaborate masks, and pageants. In 1607, King James I insisted that a play be acted on Christmas night and that the court indulge in games. It was during the Reformation in 17th century Europe that many Protestants changed the gift bringer to the Christ child or Christkindl, and the date of giving gifts changed from December 6 to Christmas Eve. Modern history. 17th and 18th centuries. Following the Protestant Reformation, many of the new denominations, including the Anglican Church and Lutheran Church, continued to celebrate Christmas. In 1629, the Anglican poet John Milton penned On the Morning of Christ's Nativity, a poem that has since been read by many during Christmastide. Donald Hines, a professor at California State University, states that Martin Luther inaugurated a period in which Germany would produce a unique culture of Christmas, much copied in North America. Among the congregations of the Dutch Reformed Church, Christmas was celebrated as one of the principal evangelical feasts. However, in 17th century England, some groups such as the Puritans strongly condemned the celebration of Christmas, considering it a Catholic invention and the trappings of popery, or the rags of the beast. In contrast, the established Anglican Church pressed for a more elaborate observance of feasts, penitential seasons, and saints' days. The calendar reform became a major point of tension between the Anglican Party and the Puritan Party. The Catholic Church also responded, promoting the festival in a more religiously oriented form. King Charles I of England directed his noblemen and gentry to return to their landed estates in midwinter to keep up their old-style Christmas generosity. Following the parliamentarian victory over Charles I during the English Civil War, England's Puritan rulers banned Christmas in 1647. Protests followed as pro-Christmas rioting broke out in several cities, and for weeks Canterbury was controlled by the rioters, who decorated doorways with holly and shouted royalist slogans. Football, among the sports the Puritans banned on a Sunday, was also used as a rebellious force. When Puritans outlawed Christmas in England in December 1647, the crowd brought out footballs as a symbol of festive misrule. The book, The Vindication of Christmas, London, 1652, argued against the Puritans and makes note of Old English Christmas traditions: dinner, roast apples on the fire, card-playing, dances with plowboys, and maidservants. Old Father Christmas and carol singing. During the ban, semi-clandestine religious services marking Christ's birth continued to be held, and people sang carols in secret. 19th century. Ebenezer Scrooge and the Ghost of Christmas Present. From Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, 1843. In the early 19th century, Christmas festivities and services became widespread with the rise of the Oxford movement in the Church of England that emphasized the centrality of Christmas in Christianity and charity to the poor, along with Washington Irving, Charles Dickens, and other authors emphasizing family, children, kind-heartedness, gift-giving, and Santa Claus for Irving or Father Christmas for Dickens. In the early 19th century, writers imagined Tudor period Christmas as a time of heartfelt celebration. In 1843, Charles Dickens wrote the novel A Christmas Carol, which helped revive the spirit of Christmas and seasonal merriment. Its instant popularity played a major role in portraying Christmas as a holiday emphasizing family, goodwill, and compassion. Dickens sought to construct Christmas as a family-centered festival of generosity, linking worship and feasting within a context of social reconciliation. Superimposing his humanitarian vision of the holiday in what has been termed carol philosophy, Dickens influenced many aspects of Christmas that are celebrated today in Western culture, such as family gatherings, seasonal food and drink, dancing, games, and a festive generosity of spirit. A prominent phrase from the tale, Merry Christmas, was popularized following the appearance of the story. This coincided with the appearance of the Oxford movement and the growth of Anglo-Catholicism, which led a revival in traditional rituals and religious observances. '20th century. During the First World War and particularly, but not exclusively, in 1914, a series of informal truces took place for Christmas between opposing armies. The truces, which were organized spontaneously by fighting men, ranged from promises not to shoot, shouted at a distance in order to ease the pressure of war for the day, to friendly socializing, gift-giving, and even sport between enemies. These incidents became a well-known and semi-mythologized part of popular memory. They have been described as a symbol of common humanity even in the darkest of situations and used to demonstrate to children the ideals of Christmas. Up to the 1950s in the UK, many Christmas customs were restricted to the upper and middle classes. Most of the population had not yet adopted many Christmas rituals that later became popular, including Christmas trees. Christmas dinner would normally include beef or goose, not turkey as would later be common. Children would get fruit and sweets in their stocking rather than elaborate gifts. Full celebration of a family Christmas with all the trimmings only became widespread with increased prosperity from the 1950s. National papers were published on Christmas Day until 1912. Post was still delivered on Christmas Day until 1961. League football matches continued in Scotland until the 1970s, while in England they ceased at the end of the 1950s. Under the state atheism of the Soviet Union, after its foundation in 1917, Christmas celebrations, along with other Christian holidays, were prohibited in public. During the 1920s, 1930s, and 1940s, the League of Militant Atheists encouraged school pupils to campaign against Christmas traditions, such as the Christmas tree, as well as other Christian holidays, including Easter. The League established an anti-religious holiday to be the 31st of each month as a replacement. At the height of this persecution in 1929 on Christmas Day, children in Moscow were encouraged to spit on crucifixes as a protest against the holiday. Instead, the importance of the holiday and all its trappings, such as the Christmas tree and gift-giving, was transferred to the new year. It was not until the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991 that the persecution ended and Orthodox Christmas became a state holiday again for the first time in Russia after 7 decades. European history professor Joseph Perry wrote that likewise in Nazi Germany, because Nazi ideologues saw organized religion as an enemy of the totalitarian state, propagandists sought to de-emphasize or eliminate altogether the Christian aspects of the holiday, and that propagandists tirelessly promoted numerous Nazified Christmas songs, which replaced Christian themes with the regime's racial ideologies. As Christmas celebrations began to be held around the world even outside traditional Christian cultures in the 20th century, some Muslim-majority countries subsequently banned the practice of Christmas, claiming it undermines Islam. Controversies. Further information: persecution of Christians in the Soviet Union, Kirchenkampf, and anti-religious campaigns in China. A 1931 edition of the Soviet magazine Bezbesnik, published by the League of Militant Atheists, depicting an Orthodox Christian priest being forbidden to take home a tree for the celebration of Christmas died, which was banned under the Marxist-Leninist doctrine of state atheism. Christmas has at times been the subject of controversy and attacks from various sources, both Christian and non-Christian. Historically, it was prohibited by Puritans during their ascendancy in the Commonwealth of England, 1647 to 1660, and in colonial New England, where the Puritans outlawed the celebration of Christmas in 1659 on the grounds that Christmas was not mentioned in Scripture and therefore violated the Reformed regulative principle of worship. The Parliament of Scotland, which was dominated by Presbyterians, passed a series of acts outlawing the observance of Christmas between 1637 and 1690. Christmas Day did not become a public holiday in Scotland until 1871. Today, some conservative Reformed denominations such as the Free Presbyterian Church of Scotland and the Reformed Presbyterian Church of North America likewise reject the celebration of Christmas based on the regulative principle and what they see as its non-scriptural origin. Christmas celebrations have also been prohibited by atheist states such as the Soviet Union and more recently majority Muslim states such as Somalia, Tajikistan, and Brunei. Christians and organizations such as Pat Robertson's American Center for Law and Justice cite alleged attacks on Christmas, dubbing them a war on Christmas. Such groups claim that any specific mention of the term Christmas or its religious aspects is being increasingly censored, avoided, or discouraged by a number of advertisers, retailers, government, prominently schools, and other public and private organizations. One controversy is the occurrence of Christmas trees being renamed holiday trees. In the U.S., there has been a tendency to replace the greeting Merry Christmas with Happy Holidays, which is considered inclusive at the time of the Jewish celebration of Hanukkah. In the U.S. and Canada, where the use of the term holidays is most prevalent, opponents have denounced its usage and avoidance of using the term Christmas as being politically correct. In 1984, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Lynch v. Donnelly that a Christmas display, which included a nativity scene, owned and displayed by the city of Pawtucket, Rhode Island, did not violate the First Amendment. American Muslim scholar Abdul Malik Mujahid has said that Muslims must treat Christmas with respect, even if they disagree with it. The government of the People's Republic of China officially espouses state atheism and has conducted anti-religious campaigns to this end. In December 2018, officials raided Christian churches prior to Christmas Day and coerced them to close. Christmas trees and Santa Clauses were also forcibly removed. But you still catch